What's up guys, Saf here on SuperSaf TV, and in this video we're going to be looking at the key differences between the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 and the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Right, so a lot of you guys have been asking me to make this comparison because you're unsure of which one to go for, and they are very, very similar, but we'll be breaking things down step by step, SuperSaf style, and hopefully by the end of this video, you'd have made your decision. Kicking off with the design, both have Samsung's traditional glass and metal sandwich. We've got curved glass panels on the front and back, and they are symmetrical. Look absolutely great. I know it's not necessarily a new design because we've had a similar design last year, but I still think these are some of the best looking devices out right now, and they both do come in a range of different colors too. And as always, both are IP68 Water Dust Resistant, so that's also great. But of course, there are some differences. The Note 9 is the overall larger device in terms of the height, width, as well as the thickness, and it definitely feels a little bit heavier. It's also got squared off corners compared to the curved corners on the S9 Plus. And for that reason, the S9 Plus does feel a lot more comfortable to hold in the hand. It doesn't dig into your sides as much as the Note 9 does. Now, being the larger device, the Note 9 also has a slightly larger display, 6.4 inches versus 6.2 inches on the S9 Plus. So you do get a slightly larger screen on the Note 9, but the difference isn't massive. And both of these displays do have Super AMOLED technology, and they are some of the best displays in the market right now. Colors are vibrant, blacks are deep, and viewing angles are also really good, and I really don't think you can go wrong with either of these displays. You've also got Quad HD Plus resolution on both, so details are very, very sharp. Now, because the S9 Plus is slightly smaller, you do have a slightly higher pixel density, but it's nothing really that you're going to notice. Both displays are infinity displays, which means we've got minimal bezels, so there's just pretty much a top and bottom strip, which is really, really awesome. And there's no notch. I know a lot of you guys hate the notch, and lots of manufacturers are following that notch trend. It seems like Samsung is pretty much one of the only ones that hasn't gone for the notch, but still maintained a great screen to body ratio with just the top and bottom strips. Now, the similarities continue on the internals. Both are powered by either the Qualcomm Snapdragon 845 processor or Samsung's Exynos 9810, and both do have 6GB of RAM. But the Note 9 does come with an 8GB version, which you will be paying more for. Now, in terms of performance, I've been using the S9 Plus for some time now, and it's been very smooth and snappy overall, and I expect the same with the Note 9. I don't expect a huge bump because of the extra RAM on the 8GB version. I do have the 6GB version here, so it's not much of a difference that I can tell. For storage, the S9 Plus comes with a base of 64GB, but there is a 128 as well as a 256GB version available. With the Note 9, it has a base of 128GB of storage, which is absolutely great, and it does go up to 512GB. That is absolutely insane. That amount of storage many people don't even have on their laptops, so it's amazing to see that on a smartphone. And you can expand the storage on both of these because they both do have a MicroSD card slot, so you're gonna have no problems whatsoever when it comes to storage. For the software, both of these do have Android Oreo with Samsung's Experience Skin on top. However, at this point in time, the Note 9 does come with a later version of the software, 8.1. My S9 Plus is currently on 8.0. Now, moving on to the cameras, things are once again pretty much identical. For the front-facing camera, 8 megapixels with an f1.7 aperture and autofocus. And for the rear-facing cameras, we've got dual 12 megapixel cameras with optical image stabilization. The primary camera has a dual aperture, and it's going to switch between f1.5 and f2.4 mechanically, which is really, really cool. And this is going to change depending on the light in your scene. And the secondary camera is a telephoto camera with an f2.4 aperture. And this is also going to help get you that shallow depth of field effect with live focus. Both can also film 4K at up to 60 frames a second. And for slow motion, you've got up to 960 frames a second at 720p, although this is just a short burst. Once again, all the same. However, there is a slight improvement in terms of software from what I can see on the Note 9. You've got something called flaw detection. So if it notices that you haven't taken the shot right, so say for example, somebody's got their eyes closed, or if the shot is blurry, then it's going to notify you about that. But in terms of quality, in my brief testing, both do seem very, very similar, if not the same. The only physical difference you'll see in the cameras is that we've got a vertical placement on the S9 Plus, and we've got a horizontal placement on the Note 9. Now, I don't really think this is going to make a difference to your photography and video. One thing that we do have this year is that the fingerprint scanner now sits below the cameras. Last year, it was next to the cameras in a very awkward position. However, because of the vertical camera placement of the S9 Plus, the fingerprint scanner is slightly lower and it's definitely a lot more reachable. I mean, if you look at that, there's actually quite a big difference in terms of where the fingerprint scanner sits. So if I've got the S9 in my hand, it's very, very reachable, and I don't really have to stretch for it at all. However, with the Note 9, I would have liked it to be somewhere around here. I do have to stretch quite a bit to reach that fingerprint scanner. So that's something that you are going to have to bear in mind. Once again, in terms of the overall comfortability and ergonomics, the S9 Plus definitely gets the win. Now, you don't necessarily have to use the fingerprint scanner if you don't want to, and that's because we do have intelligent scan, so that's the iris scanner as well as facial recognition on both of these. They both work really, really well, and that is nice to have all of these options for security. Moving on to audio, both of these this year do have stereo speakers, which is great. So you've got one in the earpiece and one bottom firing. They are tuned by AKG and they both support Dolby Atmos. They sound absolutely great, and it's such a big difference compared to the single bottom firing speaker that we had last year. And both devices also maintain the 3.5mm headphone jack, which is absolutely great, and I know a lot of you guys will be pleased about that. So right now you're probably thinking that there really is minimal difference between these two. Now there is one thing that separates the Note 9 apart from the S9 Plus and pretty much most of the devices out there, and that is the S Pen. Now the S Pen is actually the most advanced S Pen that we've had so far. So as well as making some quick notes and having off-screen memos and things like that, you now have Bluetooth enabled within the S Pen, which means you can remotely control the Note 9 using the S Pen on its own. So for instance, if you want to launch a specific app, you can just press and hold. I've got it set to the camera. You can see that the camera launched just by me pressing this remotely. You can choose which app you want it to open. And once you're within the app, you also have some more custom features. So for instance, if I double press, it's going to switch the camera around. And if I press once, it's going to take a picture. This makes things really, really interesting. The S Pen SDK is also going to be opened up to software developers, so we'll be seeing more coming from the S Pen too. And the improvements on the S Pen really do add another dimension in the way that we interact with the Note 9. This is something that you will not be getting on the S9 Plus, and it's one of the big reasons why you might want to choose the Note 9 above the S9 Plus. Now, when it comes to the batteries, the Note 9 does have a larger battery, 4000 mAh, versus 3500 on the S9 Plus. Last year, we actually had a smaller battery on the Note 8 compared to the S8 Plus. Now, this was because of the issues around the Note 7. But after the success of the Note 8, the Note 7 has been pretty much forgotten, and Samsung have now been able to get a huge battery into this, and that is definitely a big plus. Now, usage-wise, of course, we're going to have to see. You do have a slightly larger display, but the S9 Plus in my usage hasn't been great for battery life. It's been good, not great. I hope that the Note 9 will be great, but this is something that I'll have to feed back on in my full in-depth review. The good thing with both devices is that they do support fast charging as well as fast wireless charging. The fast charger does come out the box. It's quick charge 2.0, so it's maybe not as fast as some other devices out there, but it's still very, very fast. I think you can get a full charge within roughly about 1 hour and 40 minutes, which is not bad at all. Now, finally, moving on to the price. So on release, the S9 Plus, if you look at the 128GB comparable model, it did come in at £870 here in the UK. This is off the official Samsung website. With the Note 9, it's going to be starting at £900 or $1,000. The S9 Plus, of course, is available to order right now. With the Note 9, you can pre-order right now, but it will be coming from the 24th of August. Now, the S9 Plus, no doubt, will be coming down in price following the official release of the Note 9. This is just something that happens, and you will be able to pick up the S9 Plus, I'd say roughly about 20% cheaper compared to the Note 9. And what you really have to ask yourself is, how much do you want the S Pen? Because essentially, that's what it comes down to. The size difference isn't that big anymore like it used to be from the Galaxy series to the Note series. It's only very small. But yes, you do get a larger battery and the option of more storage and more RAM if you do pay that extra. But I do think, once again, it does essentially come down to how much you want the S Pen. And that's it, guys. That's a detailed run through of the differences between the Samsung Galaxy Note 9 and the Samsung Galaxy S9 Plus. Both really good devices. I personally will be moving over on to the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and that's just because I am a bit of a Note fan. I have been using Notes for a very long time, and I do enjoy having the S Pen, and I do miss it whenever I switch from the Note to another device. even though it might not be something that I use every day. What do you guys think of the differences between the S9 Plus and the Note 9? Which one would you go for? Definitely let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, then do hit that thumbs up button for me. And if you haven't already, then be sure to subscribe and switch your notifications. We've got lots more content coming up on here. Thanks for watching. This is Saf on SuperSaf TV. I'll see you next time.